I'm gonna wait for a few more people to hop on, and then we can get started. I'm gonna adjust my camera just a little bit. Hi, Kristen. How are you? Hello, everyone. Okay, so hi, Dalva. Okay, so we're going to be sewing the Nora Doctor bag. I am sewing the small handbag size. Hi, Mandy. Hi, Jody. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited y'all are joining me. Okay, so I already have my pieces cut out, and surprisingly, I already picked out my thread and wound my bobbins. So I'm gonna be ready to sew. Hi. Hi, everyone. Oh, I'm so excited you're here, Kristen. Hi, Tony. I hope I don't butcher your name. Hedge. Hi, Hedge. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Okay. So like I said, we're gonna be sewing the Nora bag. I'm gonna get started. If you want, I added the link for the Nora bag in the description of the Sew Along if you want to grab it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm gonna baste on my foam. I'm gonna baste it onto my main panels. No, I don't. You can look in here actually. Okay. I'm just gonna try to keep my, oh, Irene, okay. I hope I said Irene right. Hi, Monique. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna baste on, and the first thing I'm gonna do, kind of how I like to baste. I'm gonna grab my quilting spray, and I'm gonna spray the foam. Oh. I'm just gonna grab my trash can real quickly. Oh. Okay. Hi, Donna. So what I'm gonna do is I do not like to adhere my foam with my press. This is fusible foam, but I'm going to opt not to fuse it. Hi, Karen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spray this real quick so that it kind of holds it in place. It's not gonna shift on me. So I'm just spraying it. And the pattern says that you need to line it up at the bottom here because you're gonna have like a 1/2 inch at the top. That is where I believe we're going to be putting the, I believe that's where we're gonna put the casing for the boning. So I am just smoothing that on, and I'm gonna set that aside, do the same exact thing to my second piece, and then I'm gonna baste it with a basting spray, or not a basting spray, a basting stitch. And I'm just spraying this into my trash can that's right here so it doesn't get onto anything. And so I'm just lining it up with the bottom here. It might be a little bit bigger than my piece, like on the sides, but that's no big deal because you can cut it down at the end, just as long as you have that 1/2 inch at the top. Because sometimes when you're cutting foam, it can be a little weird and it can stretch a little bit. Okay, so I'm using a basting spray, and let me show you what the basting spray I use is this like quilt basting spray that I got at Joann's. I'm just adjusting. Annette, the foam that I'm using is Pelon 71F. No, hold on. Let me grab it. Oh. Okay, so the foam I'm using is Flex Foam, one-sided fusible. It's FF78F1, and it's yellow. So let me see. Hope you can see that. So that's the foam I'm using. I bought this on Amazon like a year ago. It's lasted me quite a bit, but I also just started sewing bags. Really like when I did my first live in Swoon, pretty much. Okay, so the machine I'm using is a Juki DDL 5550, and I have a Teflon foot on my machine. I'm kind of nervous because I'm using a new Teflon sheet, a new Teflon foot, because my other one, the bottom was peeling off, so I had a backup one. Okay, so I'm kind of jumping around, so I'm going to do the foam, and then I'll go to the front and we'll do the putting the boning in on the side panels, and then we can adhere the Decoville Heavy onto, we could fuse that onto the vinyl. So the one thing I'm going to say is I really recommend, and I did not do this, I recommend maybe going in and color coding the certain the bag sizes. So there's 3 bag sizes. There's the large, the traveler, and then the small handbag. So each have their own like measurements sometimes within this pattern. So I would just go in maybe and like highlight for the small. I would put a color for the small and then put a color for the traveler. That way you know, and you don't get confused. I did not do that, and I knew I was going to, and I just never did. Okay, so we're going to do a basting stitch along the edge right here, just on the edge of the bottom, and it's going to be 1/4 of an inch. And I have my I have my stitch at a 4 mm, but it doesn't really. It can be a 3 or whatever size you want. Just needs to be right along the edge. Just holds it in place. Oh, I don't know. You could always try. I know that there is like actual like permanent adhesive spray. Not so much the basting one, but there is this one here. It's Scotch. It's like the Scotch one. I used to use it. I used to use it when I did paper crafting. So just gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. Let me see. Okay. So I'm basting this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. That's what the pattern calls for. Pretty sure the seam allowance for the bag is 1/2 inch, more than likely, if the basting is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I just basted that around. And I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other main panel piece that has the foam. 1/4 of an inch, just go down. This just holds it in place. If you didn't catch everything, don't worry, because you'll catch it when you construct the bag. As long as some of it is caught within the basting stitch, you'll be fine. Okay. So that is done. I'm just going to, so now we're going to get the side panel stabilizer and the boning. So for the boning, I was able to get some from Hobby Lobby. The kind I have, it's this Sewology. I hope you can see it. Let me turn my light on over here. Okay. So the right here, it's featherweight boning. I found it in like the bra section, kind of where the hardware is. Well, at mine, that's where it was. But it was in the bra section. This one is featherlight boning. I did not feel like going all the way to my Joann's, which is, you know, 20 to 30 minutes away versus my Hobby Lobby is right down the street. So I'm just going to use it and hope that it works. I am using Decoville, and if I don't like the structure, I can always add some Peltex inside also, and that will help. But it seems, I feel like it will work. So I'm just going to cut this off here. So since I am doing the small handbag, I need to cut 2 lengths of boning at 4 inches. If you're sewing along with me and you're doing the traveler, you're going to cut yours at 6 inches. And if you're doing the regular size, let's see, I think yeah, so the instructions are for the large handbag, you'll cut it at the 5 inch. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to grab some old scissors and try to cut this boning. So I'm going to, 4 inches for me, so I'm going to go over here and cut it real quickly. Okay, so I got my 4-inch pieces here. They're fairly hard, but this is the one that has a covering on it right here. It has a covering. So this is the boning inside, and this is the one that the pattern calls for where it's covered. So I'm just going to set this aside. Grab the stabilizer piece. I am using, if you're going based on the pattern, it would call for Peltex. Okay. Let me get my ruler. So you're going to pin the boning with the cover to the non-fusible side of the stabilizer, the panel stabilizer. So on the Decoville, it has this like matte side, and then on this side it's kind of like a glossy, like shiny. That is the glue side. So I'm not going to put my boning on that side. I'm going to put it on this side. So you're going to pin the boning with the cover to the non-fusible side of the panel stabilizer, 1 inch down from the curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this. It's going to be 1 inch down from the top curve right here. And you're going to center it between the sides. So I'm just going to try to find, so probably be easier if you just find your middles. I'm just going to fold mine in half, and that will give me like a crease. That will make it easier for me to center it. 1 inch, there we go. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark like 2 inches each way. And you're going to want to put that and sew it. But I would be really careful when sewing this because it's plastic, but you don't want to accidentally break a needle. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get some of my, I'm going to get this 1/4 inch tape, and I'm going to center it down the middle, and hopefully it won't move, and I can, that's one less thing I have to worry about. And I can just sew it down. So I'm going to do the same thing to my other boning piece. So I'm just putting some tape right down here, and then I'm leaving the sides open so that, because you're going to sew all the way around in like a little box. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to my other side. Found my middle. 1 inch from that curve. And I'm just going to draw out 2 inches on each side because it's 4 inches for mine. And I'm going to adhere it down. Hi, Gail. It does say that if you don't have, if you didn't get one that boning that isn't covered, you can put it in a 1 inch. You can put it on, get a 1 inch scrap of fabric, 1 inch wide fabric, and you can wrap it around the boning. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to very carefully sew all the way down, making sure it catches. And then my hi Marie. So when when I adjust this, I'm making sure that my needle is down, so that it doesn't move or shift. I have the double-sided tape, so it shouldn't shift, but this plastic can come out. It looks like it's coming out. And I don't know if, I'm hoping you can see this. Let me see. So if you see right here on the side, there's already stitching. I'm following that stitching right there. Okay, so now I'm going to, with my needle down, I want to push this up. I just want to make sure that the boning is all the way in like it's supposed to be. Because then you're going to turn it around and you're going to sew. I'm going to hand crank because I'm having to get through that plastic. And I'm going to do the same exact thing, following that existing stitch that's already on that casing for the boning. And I'm just following that. And that's how I'm going to be attaching this boning to my décolleté piece. Okay. So I'll show you. So I just followed that existing stitching that was on that boning case. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other side, making sure that I put it on the correct side of my deco bill. You don't want to put it on the side that has the glue, because you're going to need to adhere this to the side panels. So, with my, I'm going to do the same exact thing, following that existing stitch. I'm taking it slow. Just going to adjust that boning real quick. I'm going to hand crank over it. I'm going to go ahead and, I didn't do this to the last one, but I'm going to do like a tack stitch to kind of hold it in. I'm going to follow that existing stitch line again on my boning casing. Okay, and now I'm just going to stitch down this side, but I'm gonna make sure that I don't have any thread under there, because it will cause nesting. I don't want that. So I'm gonna hand crank over the boning, and now I'm gonna back stitch, going slowly, not quickly, because I don't want to break a needle. Okay. And there we go. So now I have my second boning attached to my stabilizers. Hi, Julie. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Not sure. Okay. So now that we have the boning on our stabilizer, we're going to adhere it. So we're going to fuse it to the side panels. And let's grab my side panel. So I'm going to grab the exterior ones, which is my vinyl. And you're going to adhere it, let's see. For the small handbag, you're going to adhere it 1 1/4 inch from the bottom. So the boning is going to, so like, if you look at the pattern here, see how like stiff it is and like how it holds it open? That's what it's going to do. It's just pretty much so that it doesn't sink in. It doesn't like bunch in. It wants this to stay stiff. It wants this side panel to stay stiff. It's the way the, I guess the doctor bag is. It just gives it that like stiff look. Okay. So, I'm going to cut out the corners that I had traced when I was cutting the other day. I'm going to cut those out because Okay, now I'm going to measure. For the small handbag, it is 1 1/4 inch. If you're doing the traveler size, you're going to fuse it 2 inches from the bottom edge. And then if you're doing the large handbag, you're going to adhere it 1 1/2 inches up. So mine is 1 1/4 inch. I need my bigger. So 1 1/4 inch right here. Just gonna kind of draw a line. This will help me. Hi, Brenda. One 1/4 inch from this bottom. Just making sure it's all nice and even, or as even as I can get it. Okay, so you're going to 1 1/4, leaving at least like a 1/2 inch gap from all edges. So that's all good. Just want it out of the seam allowance. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to warm up my glue so that it kind of sticks. I'm going to adhere this to, I'm using my heat press to adhere it to my my side panel. I'm just gonna throw it on my desk because it's warm and I don't want my vinyl to warp. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna warm up the glue, and I just get my heat press, and on the side that doesn't have the glue, I kind of warm it up. It makes it a little tacky. Not to where it like sticks, but to where it won't shift. Hi, Chris. Just want to make it sure that it's like a 1/2 inch from the edge. Okay, now I'm just going to press this on with my heat press. So see, this is adhered on. Okay. And now, since I'm using vinyl, I'm going to go ahead and, for my top casing, let's see. Oh wait, no, we're good. We're not doing the top casing yet. That will be further on. I'm gonna leave my heat press on, and now I'm just gonna set these aside. And now we can now we can start with our handle connectors and our handles, pretty much. Oops. This is my handles, and this is my handle connector. Hi, Brenda. I have a, it's really just a 15 by 15 heat press that I got from US Cutters. It was really, really cheap. It's like they're like off-brand. It's nothing fancy. Pretty much a basic heat press. So for the handle connectors, you're gonna fold in half, wrong sides together, matching the raw edges. So I'm just gonna grab my ruler because I'm gonna want to make a line for this. Yes. So I'm getting my ruler. The 1/2 inch mark of this is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just gonna get my pen and mark all the way down. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. I know, I'm so excited. So the crazy thing is he had originally posted it on Facebook for $500. And I was like, ooh, like that's nice. That's perfect. And so I had asked my husband, he was like, well, you already have one. And I wasn't thinking he was going to get it for me. But he surprised me with it. But he said when he got there, like the guy had ordered it from Amazon. And it didn't come with any instructions. And he didn't know how to set up a industrial machine. So he was sick of it. He was just like, just get it out of my face. Like, give me $300 and take it. My husband was like, okay, I'm not going to question you on that. So I got it, but I haven't used it yet. So I'm moving next week. Yeah, so next weekend, we're painting the house. And then Monday, we're going to start moving. But I'm not going to move so I'm trying to decide, am I going to move my sewing room first so that it's there? Or do I move it last? Because we do have this Swoon at home, I think is what it's called. It's a whole weekend of, like, we're all, like, the admins are doing a bunch of lives, and that's when we're doing the Dorian mashup. So, we're trying to decide. I want to decide if I want to do the Dorian mashup in my new workspace, or if I should just like wait, because we don't have to be out of our apartment till the 25th of the month, which is coming up. And I'm telling you, we have not packed at all. So I had totally, I went blank. I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure out the halfway point of this because I don't do very good math. So let's see. 3 inches. So that would be like, what, 1 1/4? Yeah, 1 1/2 would be half of 3 inches. Always sewing your room first. Okay, so I'll probably do that because we're painting this weekend. We're gonna paint the entire house because the house that we're moving into, they converted the garage, which is where my workspace is gonna be. And the room is painted. Is it yellow or it's blue maybe? The ceiling is blue. There's yellow trim, and then I think the walls are blue too, like baby sky blue. And yeah, so it's definitely, it needs to be painted. The kitchen is yellow, like old yellow. But I'm pretty excited. So we're supposed to be tearing up carpet. We were going to go tear up carpet today when my husband got off work. But I was like, I totally forgot that I was doing this live. I don't know. I guess I was just super excited. But then I was like, oh, we won't be able to. So tomorrow we're going to go rip up carpet. So right now, I am doing a 3-inch strap. So I'm just getting the middle marking of the 3-inch, which is 1.5. And I'm just drawing the line down the middle. That way I can put my tape down, because I like to use double-sided tape. And then I can put the raw edges in. This is for the handle connectors or for the handles. I'm just gonna double check this for the handles. The handles are at the back, but as most know, I like to do the handles first. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing it right. Because you're going to, for the small handbag, the handles are going to be 3/4 of an inch, not 1 inch, like normal. So, what she has you do is she has you sew it up, and then you will, so you'll sew it, and then you'll cut it to the length that you need it at. So I'm just going to put my tape down. Hi Martha, so this is double-sided tape from Waywack. It's leather tape. You can, I know before this, like this is my first time using the Waywack tape. Before that, I was just using regular score tape that you can get on Amazon. It's for scrapbooking. But I ran out of all of it, so I am now just using the Waywack. I heard it holds better, so I figured I'd give it a try. If it doesn't work out, I'll just order some more from Amazon. So, I'm just putting it down where that center mark is. This will hold my edges when I fold it in. So, the thing I like to do for this one here, we do not need to worry about leaving that 1/8 of an inch gap in the middle, because so you just fold it in the middle, and then you're going to attach it to the bag. So you don't have to worry about leaving an 1/8 of an inch gap, because we're not going to be folding it like we will with the straps. With the straps, you're going to want to leave that 1/8 of an inch gap. And of course, I'll show you what I mean when I get to there. So I'm just grabbing my raw edge of my vinyl, and I'm putting it up to that line that I marked. That middle point line. Just making my way down. Getting as straight as possible. It's WAWAK. And if you remind me, if you just tag me, I can put the link also in the, if you tag me after the live, I'll remember to put the link. But you gotta tag me, because I'll end up forgetting. Oh, thank you, Martha. I hope that they work. And that you use them and they're not. I hope they're good tips, pretty much. Okay, these are just things that I've learned. So I'm butting it up to the end of the, so I'm just buttoning it up. You can see. I don't have to worry about the 1/8 of an inch, because I'm not folding it. This is what we're gonna sew this on to our main panel piece. So I'm just buttoning it up as close as I can. I'm not used to such a small, I very rarely use a 3/4 of an inch strap. This is the first time I think I've done a 3/4 of an inch. I am doing one for a pattern that's going to be released soon that I'm testing, and they call for 3/4 of an inch, and it just feels so tiny. I'm so used to 1 inch. So, just making my way all the way down, just buttoning it up, moving it. I probably should have did my straps first, my straps, but it should hold, hopefully. Okay. Yeah, they do end up twist, they do twist. Even when I sew them, they'll twist. But after a while, I feel like they untwist. I found the best way to not get twisting is to make sure that when you have your strap, don't have it like up here. Like lay it straight down so that it comes straight when it's sewing. Yes, I'm not sure specifically the link, but Waywack, it looks like that is the one. Well, I just see the Waywack. But okay. So, now that we've did the 3/4 of an inch, I'm gonna wait on doing the handles till the end, which I know it's crazy. It's gonna bug me, but I'm gonna wait to do that because I want to see how long I need to cut it, because I don't want to. The pattern is having you do like stitch the strap, the handle. It's having you stitch it and then cut it. And I just feel like it's gonna if you cut it, you don't have any reinforcing stitches or tack stitches. So I feel like it's gonna unravel. So I'm just gonna wait, see what I need to cut down my what my handles need to be at, and then that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna wait till the end. I wish I would have really looked through the. So we're gonna fold the handle connectors in half together, matching the 2 long ends to make a center crease. Open and fold each long edge to the crease so you're meeting in the middle, and press again. Fold the connectors in half, matching the 2 short ends. Cut, repeat. So we want 4 strap connectors that measure 8.5 inches long for the small handbag. If you're doing the traveler, it's 11 inches, and if you're doing the large handbag, it's gonna be 9 inches. So I'm just gonna go over here and cut these down on my table. So 8.5 inches. Okay, so now I have 4 straps that measure 8.5 inches. Or approximately 8.5 inches. Oops. Just gonna hold this. I'm gonna repress these. Just wanna make sure they're somewhat even. This one seems, okay, perfect. So I have 4 that measure 8.5 inches. So I'm gonna get my hardware. It's gonna be 3/4 of an inch. If you're doing the handbag, the other handbag, and the if you're doing not the small handbag, I think I believe the hardware is 1 inch. So I'm gonna grab my double-sided tape, and you're going to put your rectangle rings in, and then you're going to fold under 1 inch. I'm gonna use my 1/4 inch. Good night. I know it's late if you're not in the US. I'm going to cut this. I'm just going to add it to the ends because this is what I'm going to use to okay. So I'm going to get it and I'm going to fold it 1 inch. And I'm making sure, so like, I don't know if you can see, this hardware here has this like welding. It's a weld. You can, it's like it's not like connected, or it's not solid. So I'm making sure that that's hidden within my, I'm making sure that that is what's underneath here so you can't see that. I'm just going to measure, make sure it's like somewhat 1 inch. As long as they're all even, it should be fine. Okay. Doing the same exact thing, turning it 1 inch. And just making sure everything's even. So I'm repressing this down because with vinyl, it's really tough and it won't stay folded until you stitch it. So now I'm just gonna double check to make sure that it's all even. Okay, perfect. So now that we did that, we're gonna stitch it as close as we can to right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my foot out to a narrow foot that I just got. And I'm going to see how that works with my machine. I feel like every time I try to switch my foot out on live, it never wants to come off. So if you can use like a zipper foot if you want to, get as close as you can to that. Okay, here we go. My stitch length is going to be like at 3 1/4. Here we go. I'm going to take a couple. Yeah. So I'm going to have to use my Teflon foot because this is not wanting to stitch it. So because I'm using like a vinyl, it's sticking. Oh, Lisa, hi. No, it's okay. You know me. Normally am slow at the start. So I'm switching back to my Teflon foot because the vinyl is not cooperating, is not wanting to work with me today. It is it's sticking. And this is a more like matte vinyl that I got at Joann's. It's marine vinyl, and sometimes like some of the vinyl is like really shiny, but this one is like kind of like matte, so it's extra sticky, which is no big deal. It also could just be that I don't know how to use a I just don't know how to use a narrow foot. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my hump jumper. Okay. And I'm also going to rivet this too. So I'm not just going to have the stitching. And I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other one. I'm going to use my hump jumper. This is a new Teflon foot. My other one was a lot better at leveling itself. This one, not so much. Okay, so I'm getting as close as I can to that, to my hardware. I'm gonna bump my stitch up actually to like a 3 1/2. Okay. A lot better. So, if you can see, I'm gonna do the same exact thing to my second one, trying to get as close as I can to that hardware. Okay, perfect. Okay, and now I'm just going to thread zap my threads. I need to get new batteries on this, but my kids, my oldest took my batteries out of my room and I don't know where they're at now. Making sure you don't touch your vinyl because you can accidentally melt it. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I saw that, Dalva. I'm gonna have to try to get that. The narrow Teflon foot. I'm still like, I'm trying to adjust to my new Teflon foot that I have. This white one. But I really miss my other one, so I think I'm gonna have to order another one. Because now I've realized, like, I'm noticing I'm having to use my hump jumper a lot more with this Teflon foot than I did with my other one. So right now I'm just thread zapping my threads. I just want it to look somewhat nice. I'm not so much worried about my backs as much as my front, because the front is what you can see. That's okay, Karen. I'm just getting on the straps. I haven't even gotten to the main panel. So now what I'm going to do is we can move on to putting these on our main panel piece. Okay, so we're gonna grab our main panel piece right here. We're gonna fold the main exterior piece in half, matching edges, getting a crease. Pretty much we're gonna find our center points for our bag. So I'm going to just snip a little within this, like my seam allowance here, where my basting stitch is. I'm not going past it, I'm just gonna do a little snip. Just so I can match my ruler up and know right where my center marks need to be. And within my seam allowance, I'm just going to do a little bit of a mark. I'm just going to mark it right within my seam allowance. So it's not going to be seen at all. I want to make sure that this is exactly where it's supposed to be. Okay, so for the small handbag, 2 inches from the center mark, you're going to put your straps. So I'm just gonna match up my centers. And I'm going 2 inches from the center. And I have marked it within my seam allowance, so that's where I'm able to find where my center is. And I'm gonna grab one of my connectors, and I'm gonna add some double-sided tape to hold it down. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm pretty excited to see how this comes out, because I really love this fabric. I just love the colors of it. So nice and light and pretty. Okay. So I'm just gonna press that down. Peel this up. And now, whoops, I'm just gonna make sure this didn't move. Sorry, I'm just making sure that it's nice and even. And so I'm gonna go from the bottom here, and I'm just gonna add my strap. Do the same exact thing to my other side. Lining up my 2-inch mark. I'm going to grab this connector here, and I'm going to add double-sided tape once again. I just like double-sided tape. It like holds it in place. You don't have to. If you find that it gums up your machine, you can just you can clip at the bottom here and just make a line using chalk and line it up to there so you know it's straight. So making sure that this is all nice and straight. It is. Okay. I'm going to switch these out. Because this one here is a little bit nicer. I want the fronts to be the nicest. And then the back of the bag can kind of be like the not best top stitching. Okay. So I'm just adding this to the bottom, lining it up with my ruler, making sure it doesn't shift. And it should be 5 inches for, or not 5 inches, let's see. How much for the smaller bag? Okay, so fold on exterior main panel in half, right sides together matching all edges. Press to get the center crease. On the right side, measure 2.5 inches. 2 inches for the small handbag, which is what we're doing, or what I'm doing. Mark a vertical line from the bottom, going up 8.5 inches. 7.5 for small. Measure 2.5 inches, 2 inches for the small. Apply a thin amount of glue, bottom, 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 bottom. Repeat. So I guess they should be 5 inches apart. Let's see. No, not 5 inches apart. But 2.5 plus 2.5 would be 4. So yeah. So I'm guessing. So something is wrong with my. No, it would be 4 inches. So 4 inches away from each other. Which is about where mine are at. Okay. So it looks like my centers are a little bit off. So I'm going to remeasure these real quickly because my centers look like they're a little bit off. So I'm going to... Yeah, they were a little off. Okay. No big deal. Just pull it back up. 2 inches from this mark here, 2 inches from that mark there. There we go. That looks a lot better. Okay. And now I'm just going to line it up with my ruler, and then I'm going to do the same exact thing to this side. So 2 inches from here, making sure it's nice and even, lined up, perfect. Making sure it doesn't shift. Okay. And then, there we go. Perfect, 4 inches. Yes, so 4 inch, it'll be 4 inches apart, not 5 like the pattern says. So I would just kind of note that in your notes or on your pattern that it's not going to be what, because she doesn't give you, it doesn't look like the pattern gives you it doesn't give you the measurements for what it should be apart from if it's not the large handbag. So 4 inches, 4 inches, and what I'm going to do is I'm only going to do one of these at a time, like one main panel at a time. That way it doesn't shift or anything. And I'm going to tape this or clip it at the bottom. So now I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So 1/8 of an inch from the edge of my vinyl. I'm going to put my stitch length to a 4. That's just what I like my stitch length to be. And I'm going to stitch up, making sure this does not shift. Just holding it. I'm going to put this like extra scrap of vinyl so that my foot doesn't accidentally chew up my vinyl. And I'm going to hand crank it. Get it started. Okay, and I'm going to turn it. Actually, I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to try to keep this under and turn my foot so that I can go the other way. If not, you can just back stitch it, and you can just back stitch it and come from the bottom up, which I think is probably what I'm going to do the next time, because I just want to make sure that this doesn't, you want to make sure that it doesn't like warp it. So, okay. Making sure everything is straight, and I'm going to make my way down. Okay. Alrighty. Just takes a little bit of wiggling around, figuring out. Okay. I don't know. It's so dark in my room for some reason. Okay. So there is one strap. Now we're going to do the other side. Alrighty. Just lining up where my 1/8 of an inch will be, making sure it doesn't move. I'm gonna get my hump jumper. I'm gonna go ahead and okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out, and then I'm going to, so I back stitched, I tacked it in place, and now I'm going to just come on the other side here at 1/8 of an inch and sew all the way up. Okay. Oh. Yes, the diagram for the pattern is for the large, but in the pattern here, like in the pattern, she normally gives she gives the measurements for the small and the traveler size, but for the connector part, she did not give the measurements, unless I'm missing a page. Okay. So now I'm just going to 1/8 of an inch from the edge here. I'm going to sew up. Okay. And then I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to rivet. I'll rivet after I do the second side. Just going to cut these extra threads off. And we're going to do the same exact thing that we did to this panel to the other one. So to this panel, we can grab this panel. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to clip within my seam allowance so I can get a making sure it's all nice and even. Okay. Make a bigger snip. So right now I'm just finding my centers. Just making sure that this is all even. Okay. Centers are found. So 2 inches here. I'm going to add my second piece. This one already had double-sided tape to it, and I'm going to add double-sided tape to my other strap connector, or strap connector. Okay, 2 inches from this side. Just gonna hold this down, and there we go. Measure, make sure that these are 4 inches in between. They are. Oops. And now we can sew these down. I'm going to, my stitch length is still at a 4. Did I drop my humper jumper? Probably did. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hump jumper in so I can get over here. I am just losing everything today. Oh, gonna get my scrap piece of vinyl, shove it through, and then I'm going to turn my I'm gonna turn this. There we go. Okay. So when you turn it, you want to make sure that you adjust it back because it does shift when you turn the hardware. So just make sure that your hardware goes back to being straight. Okay, and now I'm gonna go all the way down at 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And we're going to do the same exact thing to the other side. So an 1/8 of an inch. And then if you plan on riveting, you can rivet your strap connectors on. And then I'm going to add my nameplate. When I get close, I just kind of hand crank it because there's already existing stitches here. So you want to make sure that like you kind of go a little bit below but not on it because you don't want to weaken the vinyl that you had already stitched. Okay. Okay, so I'm just making sure that my hardware gets put back straight. And now I'm gonna stitch all the way back down. Okay, now I'm just gonna trim up these extra threads. And there we have our strap connectors. So now I'm gonna rivet it. I'm gonna rivet mine because I want them to be extra secure. Thank you, Kimberly. So I'm going to, I have some stray threads here. I'm just gonna zap them so that they don't fray. I'm not worried about the back because nobody's gonna be able to see that. So now I'm just going to, I guess I eyeball it. You can measure it out if you want to. And I'm just I am just going to put my hole punch in, or my holes in for my rivets, but I'm gonna do this twice because it's fairly thick. So I want to make sure it goes all the way through. There we go. Perfect. I'm gonna do the same thing to my other side. Okay. If you don't want to eyeball it like I am, you can measure it out. But hi, Sally. Okay. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to my other side. And then I can add my rivets. I put my rivets in old school way with a hammer and a setter. Okay. Okay. So you're gonna need 4. I'm just gonna set my post in. And then I will hammer them in. Then I'm gonna find the one that I want for my front, which I believe is this one here. And I'm going to add my nameplate. Yes, Penny. I roll it because if not, I won't be able to get it in. There's sometimes that I'm just not able to, and I have a a handset where you can hold it in and set the hole punch. So I'm just making sure that it's in that hole. I'm just gonna whack it, so it might be a little loud. Okay. And you can feel it when it connects in. You can kind of feel it release. So I just like to make sure that it's in there because sometimes it shifts and it's really sad. That's happened to me before. Okay, so I'm gonna set it. we go. So now I have my rivets in. And now I'm going to pick which one I want as my front, which I believe was this one here. And I'm going to, my middle is kind of already found. I already found my center point because it's marked. So I'm going to just grab a ruler. I already set my okay. So I'm gonna put my nameplate in. And I want to go like maybe 1.5 inches up because the seam allowance is 1/2 inch already. So I want to go 1.5 inches up. There we go. Just going to mark a little hole. I'm just gonna mark it here, the center. Perfect. Okay. And now, so I just marked my center. This is how I put my nameplates in. Sometimes at Emmeline Bags you can get a little nameplate that's, or like not a nameplate, but it says handmade. You can do the same thing with that. So I'm gonna get some of my Peltex here that I keep by my desk. Just a scrap piece here. I like to just set it behind my I just like to put it behind my nameplate. It just gives it extra stability. Well, I can open these. I always struggle opening these. Okay. Some people put Decoville. I don't. Just making sure the holes fit. Okay, so I got my nameplate on. Just want to make sure none of the plastic got stuck behind there, which it did. Okay, I can set that aside. So now we're going to move on to the closure tabs. So there's two options. For those that were watching me cut, I cut out two separately, but I changed it up on how I was going to do my tabs because I realized that you're going to have raw edges, so I want to make sure I can't fix it up like if I like cut it wonky or whatnot. So what I did was I retraced mine out so it looks a lot neater than my last one. Added my Decaville Heavy like it asked. And then I just got this scrap piece here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a mixture of double-sided tape. And I'm going to do a basting spray on this. So my double-sided tape, I'm going to have. If you're using a woven, you're going to do it differently. You're going to put them right sides together, stitch around, and then turn it right sides. So this is just a scrap piece. Oh, let me baste it. So I'm using my basting spray. I'm going to adhere that on. Okay. So if you want, you can, so like the other option is to cut two pieces out and put them together. But if you can see, they don't really match up, and I didn't do a very good job cutting. So for this, I recommend that you do it this way, so it looks nice and neater. You can also, like if you're worried about it having a raw edge, you can get edge coat, and you can edge coat it and hide the raw edge. It like paints the edges if you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back here. So it says you can clip or glue baste the two vinyl closure tabs together, and you're going to top stitch along all sides at 1/4 of an inch. I think I'm going to change mine to 1/8 of an inch because I don't really like 1/4 of an inch. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm just not 1/4 of an inch person. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 1/4 of an inch. If you want to do 1/8 of an inch, you can. I'm going to go a couple stitches. Just going to follow this all the way around. So I'm going to hand crank here because I want to make sure that I get a nice curve. It's not like a angle or anything. If you need a hand crank, that's fine. Hand crank if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to snip these extra threads here because I just don't want it to get sucked into my machine and cause nesting, because that would be really sad. Okay, almost there. And done. Okay. And so, if you can, I don't know if you can see. I wish it wasn't so dark. So, no, I'm not. I'm 1/8 of an inch. For some reason, I feel like Shanova might be 1/4 of an inch girl. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm getting my scissors and I'm going to cut where this one is. I'm just going to match it up and cut it so that they're nice and even. Okay. Alrighty, and that is how you'll get, hold on. I'm gonna turn on my other light so that it's a little bit brighter so you can see. Okay, I blinded myself. So I don't know if you can see. So there is a top stitching there and the top stitching on the back, and you see how nice and even the strap is, or the tab is. So if you don't like this raw edge here, this white raw edge, you can always do an edge coat on it, and that will get rid of that look. Okay, so that is done, and now we're going to put the closure on it. So on the piece here, there is there's a hole. I'm gonna go ahead and mark it. I'm gonna line it up here at the bottom. It's supposed to be 1 1/4 inch tall from the bottom. It's supposed to be 1 1/4 inch from the bottom. So I marked it with mine, but I'm gonna go ahead and double check just to make sure that it's 1 1/4 from the bottom. And it is. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Trying to. This is pretty much like doing the straps and stuff like that is pretty much the probably the boning. But once we get past all this, it's gonna be smooth sailing. I just need to figure out what I'm trying to do. Okay, here is, I need to get this. So I'm just getting my turn lock. I'm using a turn lock. If you are going to use a magnetic snap, you need to put your snap on first before you sew it together. So say you have you'll have your piece here with a decouville. You'll measure up your 1 1/4 inch up, put your mark, punch your hole, and then or not punch your hole, you're going to mark your prongs, add it in, you'll add the male, you'll add the male side, and then you can put it on top of your piece or your scrap piece or your other piece, sew it together. That way you don't see it from the top. So that's what you'll do if you're not doing this. But since I'm using this, I don't have to worry about that because I need to go through both of these pieces. So I'm just gonna take out the screws. Is this mine? Okay. And I'm gonna put my screws in here so I don't lose them. I used to have a really small, I used to have a small thing that I could punch holes on, but I don't know where it went. This will have to work. Okay. So now we're gonna put our hole, we're gonna punch our hole. So you're gonna take this apart here. This is a turn lock option. If I can just get it out. There we go. Okay. So I'm just kind of centering this. I guess eyeballing it. So you want to center that hole right. You want to make sure it's centered. So I want to. So I'm just gonna get it as perfect as I can. I have a hole punch that will. I have a hole punch that will punch this hole up for me. I'm just gonna mark this for me so I can see where it's at. So I got this off Amazon. It will punch the hole for me. So I kind of marked where my marking is supposed to be at. That one's too small. So it's perfect. Okay. So I'm just I'm going to push this down and I'll have like a little indentation and I'm just gonna match it up right there. That way it's somewhat even. I've smushed my finger on. Okay, so there it cuts the hole out for me. Yes, Lisa, I love this thing. I'm so glad I bought it. I was gonna buy one off of the Emmeline bags, but it was gonna be really expensive to ship it to me, and so I found this one on Amazon. It has the same exact things, and a little bit cheaper. Okay. So now, I'm just going to match this hole up here. So I'm matching this here because we have these screws we need to put in, but the hole punch doesn't punch them out. So I like to just punch them out with my little punch set. Okay. Oh no. Did you find the video back? Okay. So I am gonna repunch these real quick with a bigger hole punch because okay. So I'm just going to set this on top here. Make sure that nothing is inside of the holes for the screws. Place my Yes, Karen, they take forever to assemble. They're so long. I'm sure you get quicker as you do it. But like for some reason, I don't know. I like to make sure they're perfect. I probably do too much, to be honest with you. Okay. So I'm just making sure it's even. And do the second one. And I'm tightening it as tight as it can go. Okay. And there is the turn lock. I'm going to adjust this side. It's a little. Okay. There we go. So, done. You will love it. And it has all different kind of punches too on it too. Like this one for the turn lock, and then there's one for the latch lock. This is perfect for the latch lock. But yeah, I love mine. And it comes in this, the one I got, like it came in this case here, but I transferred it to a different one. But it comes in a case, so you don't have to worry about, losing them. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to our, we're going to attach the splat to the main panel. Just clean up my area because I want to be able to okay, so now you need to sew the closure tab to the bag. So you're going to get your back panel, and you want to make sure that this is going to be your back side. The side with the screws is going to be the back side. You don't want that to be seen. So this is going to be what you want to see on the front of the bag. So when it closes, this is what you want to see. You don't want to see this part here, the screws. So when that happens, what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure that it looks like this when you're putting it on, because if it's the back side and it goes over, that's the side you want to see. So your wrong side is going to be facing up. And you need to put that down from the center mark at 2.5 inches. 2 inches, sorry. 2 inches for the yeah, okay, so I did that at 1 1/4. Okay, I did that right. So, for the small handbag, 2 inches. If you're doing the bigger size handbag, you're gonna need to make sure you go by that measurement. So I'm just going to double check my, just want to double check this. Two inches. 1, 2 inches. Okay, so you're gonna mark it 2 inches down from the top edge of the exterior main panel along the vertical center crease and mark on the right side. Center the closure tabs. So I'm just gonna find my center by folding this, and I'll have like a little crease mark, and that is where I want it to be at. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to clip it at the bottom to hold it in place. I don't want to put any like double-sided tape or anything because it's gonna like flip. So we're going to sew along the straight edge at 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna turn my stitch to a 3.5 and 1/4 inch. I'm going to sew. Okay. All right. So there we go. That is what your back is going to look like. So just at this point, double check. It's going to be the right way because this is how I want this to be seen. Actually, okay, so of course I messed up, no big deal. So for this, it wants you to, wait, hold on, let me double check this. Okay, no, I did it right. Ooh, surprising. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to pull it up. You're going to pull it up. So you're going to flip the closure tab up so that it hangs off the top of the main panel. Press if it's woven. Sew across the closure tab again at 1/2 inch seam. Backstitch at the start and stop. So I'm going to grab my clips and I'm going to clip it just to hold it in place, but it's going to stay out of my way. The clips I want them to stay out of my way. So I'm actually going to change my stitch length to a 4 because this is pretty much like I want to make sure that my clips aren't bunching my fabric up. I want everything to be straight still. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 1/2 inch here because I want this to be nice and perfect. I'm going to get this chalk. I'm just going to put a faint line because that's where you're going to sew 1/2 inch. So across this closure tab, again, 1/2 inch from the seam. Backstitch at start and stop. Okay. So now I'm just going to put this underneath my foot, and I'm going to follow that line that I just made. Okay. So my stitch is at a 4. And I'm going to start right where, I'm going to go just between my seam allowance. Like, not my seam allowance, but right where I already have previous stitching. That's where I'm going to place my needle so that I don't overlap that stitching. That's just me. That's the way I'm going to want it because I don't want to see stitching overlapping. Okay. There we go.
Do you want sesame chicken or sweet and sour chicken?
Do sweet and sour chicken for me. Thank you. Okay, and so now I'm just going to get my thread zapper and I'm going to zap this thread. Just so it doesn't fray. Okay. So now you have your tab. I don't know why it's so dark. Hopefully my new place is not going to be so dark. Okay, so there we go. A 1/2 inch. Ooh, Lisa, I'm definitely going to try to do that because I'm telling you, so I don't know when, it was a couple weeks ago, I was hammering and my finger got squished between my mallet and the top of and it cut it and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. Kimberly, yes, I'm telling you, I always mess up on a live. So when I messed up, like when I thought I messed up, I wasn't surprised at all. Okay, so that's done. We can set this aside. We're gonna grab our front piece because now we're going to put the other side of the turn lock. So on the right side of the exterior main panel without closure tab, which is the back, measure down 3.5 inches. 3 inches for the small handbag. 3 inches. Oh, I already have. Okay, 3 inches. And I already have my middles measured. So 3 inches. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my marking pin. Make sure that it doesn't shift. So I'm just going to mark it. Perfect. Okay. 3 inches, right? Three inches, yes. And we're going to install the male part now. Okay, so for this here, you're going to get the washer out. And you're just gonna kind of eyeball the middle, I guess. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to mark it. So I just got my washer. There's a little mark. Oh, I don't know if you can see it. So there's a little mark where I put 2 inches down, 3 inches down, 3 inches down. I put a little dot, and then I just centered my washer on that dot, and then I marked out where my prongs are going to be on this side. So now I'm going to put my hole in, and I'm going to grab my Peltex. I just use sew-in Peltex, and then I also have like fusible ones that you can use, but just gonna mark my holes, being careful not to stab myself. Add in your male part, your Peltex, and this. And I'm actually gonna go grab my duct tape so that I can put this on top. But for some reason, it's out in the kitchen. I don't know why. Okay, so what I did was I just added my male end, and I'm gonna go grab my duct tape so that I can put it on my prongs. Okay, so I'm gonna get duct tape. I'm just gonna lace it on top. That way it doesn't rub on my lining. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to my bottom piece. Okay. And that is my front. So then I'm just going to check to make sure it's semi-even. So I'm just gonna put these two pieces together here where it's gonna be and make sure that it's, uh-oh. That's what it'll look like. Okay. Okay. Exactly. What happens in the lining stays in the lining. Nobody has to know there's duct tape in there. Okay. So we're done with that. Now we can do the lining pocket. So let's grab the lining pocket. Lining. This is my lining pocket here. And you're gonna grab one of your lining, which is here. Just gonna set this over here. So grab one. This is my lining. I'm gonna add my zipper pull. I'm using a number 5 zipper pull. The pattern calls for an all-purpose. I already have this all cut out, so the length isn't the same, but I can cut it down once I get to that part. So I'm just gonna match this up. There we go. Got my zipper pull on. I'm gonna try going from this side because I didn't like the way it looked. Okay, there we go. Zipper pull's on. So we're gonna fold the lining piece here in half. Fold the lining piece in half. And honestly, once we finish this, like everything's gonna be like, there's no more like adding stuff on. It's gonna be putting it together. Okay, so I'm finding my center mark here. This is gonna be wrong side down. So we're gonna mark, I'm going to do my pocket piece first. So I'm gonna find my center mark for my pocket. So let's see, 2 inches down. So really, so 1 inch down. Okay, so we're going to make on the wrong side of the pocket panel. So this is how I'm going to do my pocket panel. It's not how they are doing it in the pattern. So I'm going to measure about a 1/2 inch down. No, I'm going to go an inch down from So we're gonna mark a 7 inch by a 1/2 inch for the small handbag. So from an inch from the top of my pocket panel piece, which is right here, I've already found my center mark, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make my my box, my zipper box. So it's going to be, okay, 7 by 12 for a small, 9.5. Okay, so 7.5. So I'm gonna go 3 1/4. 1, 2, 3. Wait, no. What's 7 1/4 divided by 2? Can you tell I'm not very good at math? Is that, no, 3 3/4? No, 3.5. 3.5, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do 3.5. Is that 7? Yes, it's 7, not 7.5. Okay, so 3.5, and then I'm gonna go down a 1/2 inch from that line. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna go 3.5 inches to make myself a 7 inch box. 1, 2, 3, 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 1/2. Right? Yeah. I'm just gonna double check this. Okay. 1, 2, 3.5. Done. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to remake this line here. I just want to make sure that it's nice and bold so that I can see it. So I'm going to get oh, I did this wrong. So I'm going, sorry. If you do what I did, don't do that. So because this isn't going to be attached, it's going to be like this. So like you're going to have it and it's going to turn, and that's going to be, or you're going to turn, and that's going to be your pocket. So pretty much you need to do this at the top, not how I was doing it. Okay, let's try that again. So 1 inch from here, I'm going to do this again. I found my center point. Because we're going to end up turning the bag through, well, yeah, we're going to be turning the bag through. We're going to turn the bag through the lining, and then we're going to close the lining up from the, we're going to close the lining up through the zipper pocket. So I'm making it a 1/2 inch like it says from the, my pocket is a little bit smaller, so instead of going an inch down, I went a 1/2 inch down from the top. So my top is a 1/2 inch down, and then I marked my 7-inch zipper, so 3.5 inch from my center, 3.5 inch on each side of my center, which will make a 7-inch zip. Doing the same exact thing down. I'm just double checking my measurements. Okay. So this is how it's gonna be. Don't mind this. Pretend that's not there. I wish it wasn't so dark in here. Why is it so dark? Okay. Hopefully this is better. Okay. So this is where I'm gonna be sewing my zipper at. Wrong sides, but make sure when you do it, you're gonna pull this up because you don't want to accidentally catch this. So 1 inch from the, I want you to go 2 inches down. Okay, so I'm gonna switch out my ruler for a 2-inch ruler, that one that I can measure my 2-inch. So I'm going to measure this here at 2 inches, and this is where I'm going to add my, this is where I'm going to add where my zipper is going to be, my zipper pouch. So, there we go. Just like that. Now, I'm just going to add some clips here. Okay, so this one's a folded zipper. So, okay. So it's not 2 pieces where you're going to add, you're going to put the zipper in and then it's already folded. So this is the whole zipper pocket. I probably made this more difficult than it needed to be. Right, does it go this way or does it go? Because I'm going to put it in here, cut it, and then I'm going to fold it. It's going to go through right sides. Right? Now I'm second guessing myself. Okay. This is going to be my zipper. It's going to cut. I'm going to pull it through. Yeah, this is right. If it's not, we'll figure it out together. Okay, so I'm making sure it's centered. It's about the 2 inches down from where it needs to be. A little bit. It's a little bit too far down. Okay, 2 inches from here. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to put my stitch length to like a 3.5. I'm going to, I'll show you why I did it this way, if I did it right. I'm fairly certain I did. This is how I normally do pockets. Now I'm second guessing myself. Okay, so I'm just gonna go all the way down. Okay, I'm gonna clip, go down on the other side, starting even with the parallel stitch in there. I'm going to okay. Okay, yes. I like doing zipper pockets this way too. There's so many different ways to do zipper pockets. Really, it's all about like how you like to do them. I found this to be the easiest, especially when birthing a bag. Where did I put my scissors? Okay, there. Now I'm just going to clip into the middle here. I'm just going to cut down the center. And then I'm going to V out. Do the same thing. And then V out to the, just want to get as close to my stitching, but not through it. Good. Now, I can put my piece in. So now to look, so now if you, so this is how the zipper is going to be. So now I'm going to add my zipper here, and then I'll close it. So like this, the zipper is going to be in here, and this is now a pocket. You see that? Yes, you know, Sydney, you're probably right. That probably is why I am second guessing myself. I will say I'm not very good at zipper. What is it like? What are those? Not placements. Are they placements or are they? There's zipper. I can't think. I'm gonna need to restitch this side. It's not sticking. Plackets, or what is it? Zipper facings? I don't know what they're called. Something. Okay, so I went a little bit past my stitching. No big deal. I'm just gonna go one stitch above. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. Just making sure it's all parallel. Okay. Now I can put my pocket back in. And then we can add our zipper, and then we can move past this part. Okay. So there we go. That is how our pocket is gonna be. So now we're gonna add our zipper in. Just kind of like hand pressing this down. And now I'm just going to I'm putting my zipper how I want it to be on the thing. So I want it to let's see. I want it to open this way. So I need to redo my zip. Zipper facing, that's what it is. The zipper facing. I'm not very good at zipper facing. So I'm just redoing my zip because I pushed it down too far. Because if you're not, like some people don't care what way they put their zipper when opening, but I like my zipper to open like this way. So that's what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to put my zipper down where it needs to be. You can, if you want, you can put some double-sided tape, but I'm just going to hold it in place and stitch it. So my zipper is long, so I'm going to push my zipper pull out of the way so that it's not in my way while I'm adding my zipper on. So I'm just going to place it how I want it, my zipper. Just gonna go like 1/8 of an inch from that, just holding it, making sure it's straight, it doesn't shift. I'm going like 1/8 of an inch from my fold. Making sure I catch my zipper tape. And I'm making sure, well, nope, actually I'm not making sure. Wait, am I making sure? Where is it? Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. See, I just messed myself up. Okay. So you want to make sure that your zipper is out of the way. Because if you close it, like if it's down and you close it, you don't have a zipper. Like, it's just a fake zipper. It's just show zipper. So make sure that it is, that this side is pulled up and this side is pulled down. Okay, I'm gonna go, okay, now I'm just gonna make sure my zipper is straight and I'm going to go one more. Now the important thing right here is putting your needle down and making sure you push your zipper pull through, because you don't want to accidentally close up this box without your zipper being pulled through. But make sure your needle is down when you're doing this, because you don't want to accidentally pull. Okay. I'm gonna cut my threads. Okay. And there you go. You have your zipper. Make sure you open it. And now we're going to sew the zipper closed. Or not sew the pocket closed. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut down my zipper just a tad. That way it's not in my way. Okay, and now we're gonna close we're gonna close the zipper up. So it should be about even. And I'm just gonna go right here about a half an inch in, or a quarter of an inch in. And I'm gonna start from the top and go all the way down. I'm still at a 3 1/4 inch. So when I get to the end, I'm gonna fold the bottom up just a little bit, like a quarter of an inch. This is gonna help when it's time to sew your pocket closed. So I'm making sure that I'm gonna sew all the way down, and then I'm gonna turn it up. And I'll show you why afterwards. So from here, I'm kind of starting from the bottom. Making sure it's about even. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just going to trim this extra zipper and the seam allowance down just a tad, not too much. Mainly just right where this corner is here is where I want to get most of it. So I don't want that bulk for when we turn it. Okay. So now it's going to turn in like this so that when it's time to fold, when it's time to top stitch this, or so when you pull your pocket through and then you want to stitch it closed, you put your fingers in right here, it'll give you a nice crease. So see how it'll like give you that nice little crease right there? So you don't have to worry about folding it yourself. It just makes one step easier. See? So then you'll just top stitch that close. It's even, top stitch that close when it comes time to it. So that is why I turn my little pocket up. Okay, so make sure your zipper is open and set that aside. Let's see where we're at on time-wise, because I know I only have 4 hours. Oh, so I got plenty of time. What, 3.5, 2.5 hours? We're about done. Okay, so we did the pocket lining, we did that. Okay, now it's time to put the panels together. So we're gonna grab the main panel, and you're going to grab the bottom panel. And I think I'm not gonna put I didn't baste my foam, so I better baste that. Let me see. Right, because you needed foam at the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna baste my my foam to my bottom piece. So I'm just gonna get my basting spray, add it on top, baste it around. It's a little bit bigger than my piece, but that's okay. Just gonna baste this at 1/8 of an inch. Okay. I'm just gonna cut off this extra foam that's on here. And then we can adhere this to the main panel. And I have Decovil on top of, so like, I have a layer of Decovil heavy, and then I have my foam, because it wants you to have a stabilizer. I'm not gonna put purse feet on this one, since I don't want this video to be so long. Okay. Mary, I am doing Nora, the small size handbag, like, is it April said? April? I hope I said your name. I probably didn't say it right. Okay. Should I do purse feet, yes or no? Okay, so we're gonna get the main panels of the exterior. So you're gonna want the one with your front. Pin an exterior main to the contrasting bottom panel, right sides together, matching the bottom edge of the main panel, and you're gonna sew at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So, I'm just gonna pin this right here. So this is going to get sewn at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I have my stitch length at a 3.5. Gonna line up my 1/2 inch right there. I'm going to go ahead and attach it. I'm gonna set this aside. Oh, yes to the purse feet? Okay, I can still add them after this. So let me okay. So actually I'm going to top stitch this, and then I'll do my measurements for the purse feet. Actually, no, I can do the measurements for the purse feet now. Okay. I think I want them if they're like this, I would want it maybe an inch in. No, yeah. So we'll do an inch in. So 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna measure 1.5 inch. Draw a line. Do the same to the other side. 1.5 inch. Because it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance if I want it a 1/2 inch from this side. Hi, Norma. Hi, Brenda. Oh my goodness. I feel like you were up late on one of my other lives too before. Okay. So right now, I'm measuring them 1.5 inches. That way they're an inch from the end once I put my seam allowance in. So I want 1 purse feet here, 1 purse feet here, 1 purse feet here, and 1 purse feet here. And then let's see, how many inches is that in between? So now I'm gonna do, just gonna center this. There we go. Center, center, perfect. So it's about 9.5. Let's see, 1/4, and then five and 3/4 maybe, because that would be no. 3, 4, 4, 8. 4 and 3/4 right here will be my middle. Okay, there we go. Got my purse feet. Now I'm just going to grab them. I'm going to use these from Emmeline bags. Actually, no, I'm not going to use these from Emmeline bags. I'm going to use up the other ones that I have. No, I'm gonna go with the Emmeline bags because they're smaller. These are really big. These are big, and since I'm doing the smaller ones, I'll just stick with what I'm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, that's 4, and then 5. Okay. Okay. So I'm just sticking them in where I had. Trying to get them through. Okay, so I am just putting my purse feet on. I measured them out 1.5 inches from the edge. So what I did was I went from my short edge, measured it 1.5 inches. From my long edge, measured in 1.5 inches. And then at the intersecting points of where it met from the sides is where I put my purse feet at. And then I just calculated where the middle was. And just calculated where the middle was. And that's where I put my middle foot for my purse feet. So I put 5 purse feet down. And now I'm just trying to add these in, and then of course I'm gonna add duct tape to this also. That way it doesn't rub my fabric. Okay. Okay, so now I had already attached this at a 1/2 inch. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to top stitch. It wants you to top stitch after you sew it after you sew this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. It wants you to open up the panels right side and top stitch it. Let's see. Yes, so you're going to press both seam allowance towards the bottom panel. So you're going to want this piece here, you're going to want to turn it right to the middle. Yeah, yes, it would make a difference. Since I have an industrial machine, I don't need to. But if I had a domestic machine, I would hammer down my seams. Okay, so I'm actually going to do how it says. I'm going to attach my other side at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to top stitch. That way I'm not switching between, between the stitch length. What time is it? Okay, so I'm going to turn this way because I have these purse feet and I don't want them dragging. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. She want you to trim down the seam allowance. No. Whoopsies. Okay, so now I'm going to top stitch. I'm going to change my stitch length to a 4. That's what I like my top stitch length to be. So I'm changing it to a 4, and I'm going to top stitch it at a 1/4 inch, making sure that my seam is pressed in towards my bottom. just gonna make sure that my seams, I can feel it. So I'm just making sure. When I adjust, I'm going to make sure that my needle is down. I want to make sure I catch that. So I'm just going to keep adjusting as I go. There we go. Okay. And there we go. And I made sure I caught that seam so it stays down. It won't flip up or anything. So now I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other side. So I'm making sure that this is all pushed down. I'm going to, there we go, get it started. Okay, so I can feel that it's down, so I'm just gonna go ahead, sink my needle in and go. Back stitching. Oop. My bobbin ran out. Luckily, it was within my seam allowance. So I'm just gonna put a new one in. Okay, let's try that again. So, it's all down, making sure my foot lines up with the end because that's where my 1/4 inch is on my, for my machine. Okay. Adjusting as I go, making sure my needle is down when I'm stopped to adjust. Okay, so there we go. Make sure I'm not missing any questions. None. Okay, so now you're gonna repeat this same exact thing to the lining piece. I think I dropped my lining piece. I already lost one of my, oh, I'm right there. See where we're at time-wise. Okay. So now you're gonna repeat to the 2 main lining pieces, but instead you're gonna sew at 5/8 of an inch and then top stitch just as we did before. Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm loving the color choices, and I feel like this is a fairly easy bag. Definitely not like the Annette or anything like that. Thank you, Norma. Okay, so I'm going to real quickly measure out where my 5/8 of an inch is at, because I don't know where. I don't have a marking for that on my. So real quickly, I'm just gonna measure that out. So what I did was I just got my, just with the permanent marker, I just marked down. Yes, Kimberly, same. That zipper, no matter how many times you do it, it makes you nervous. I like this one because there's hardly a zipper. Hold on one second, I'm gonna call it to my husband. Miko. Meek. I guess they're not here. Okay. So we're gonna do the same exact thing at 5/8 of an inch. So what I did was I had measured out 5/8 of an inch, and then with a Sharpie, I just marked the line so I could see where my seam allowance is at. So now at 5/8 of an inch, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I move my stitch length back to a 3.5. And now I'm just going to make my way. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my other side, do the same exact thing, lining up my pieces. Okay. I'm going to sew this again at 5/8 of an inch. And then we're going to top stitch like we did the main piece. Open up. I'm moving my stitch to a 4, and now I'm going to make sure that my panel, my seam allowance is facing towards my bottom panel. I think I know he was ordering Chinese food, but then the Chinese restaurant, I'm pretty sure that was a Chinese restaurant that just called me. So I'm wondering if he went to go pick it up, but I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1/4 of an inch top stitch. I put my seam, my stitch length to a 4. This one's a little easier to adjust because it doesn't have all that like handle and foam and stuff, so this is an easy, the lining is easy to adjust. Just making sure it's pulled. I'm hoping he didn't fall asleep and he was supposed to go and pick the food up. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other side, making sure that my bottom seam is facing towards my bottom panel. And I can feel that it's like right where it needs to be. Okay, so we top stitch that at 1/4 of an inch, just like the pattern calls for. Okay, so there we go, just like that. So now we're gonna start doing the side panels. With my side panels, I have not cut out the notches. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out right now. Do the same exact thing. Okay, so in the pattern, it shows you the notches, and when I was cutting, I just traced them with a friction pin instead of cutting them out, just so it's quicker to cut. I guess he was here. He just wasn't listening to me. Okay. So we're gonna get our side panels. Let me see. So this is, we're gonna grab the contrasting. I'm gonna grab the contrasting side panels. So let's see, this is right sides. Let me look at her. Yeah, contrasting, okay. Contrasting fabrics, and you're gonna get your piece here, and you're gonna fold it up like this. And make a dart, pretty much. You're gonna see, so like, I'll just show you what it's gonna look like. So you're gonna wanna sew it like this. And you're gonna want to sew your dart at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna start from the top. Let's see. So I'm just clipping here to make sure that it stays at 1/4 of an inch here. Making sure my stitch length is back to like a regular stitch, not a top stitch. So I moved it back down to 3.5. So now at 1/4 of an inch, I'm gonna just go all the way. Okay. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to my other side, matching here. So I'm matching my edges. And I'm gonna go at 1/4 of an inch all the way down. Okay. I'm guessing my husband's having some issues with the Chinese food place. Oh, I can imagine. It was fairly thick top stitching the main panel. It definitely was thick. Maybe you could hammer it down, or like you could clip to try to get the seams. You can clip it to try to get the seams thinner, or you can just not top stitch it. Yeah, so I would either not top stitch it. Is it the bottom panel? Oh, you couldn't sew the side top stitch. Oh, okay. to be honest with you, if you could probably get away with just cutting down the seam allowance and leaving it if you can't top stitch. Is it the bottom or the like sides? Okay, we're gonna do, so you're going to want to do this to all of your darts. So 1/4 of an inch, I'm just cutting a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance for the darts, just making sure that it's all lined up and even. Quarter of an inch seam allowance. I have my stitch length at a 3, and I'm just going to continue. Okay. Okay, then we're gonna repeat to the lining panels, matching. This is a little easier because it's not vinyl, so you don't really have to clip if you feel comfortable not clipping. Getting caught. Okay, do the same thing to the other side. Pretty much we're just sewing these dart clothes at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I'm trying to be careful because it's so it's thin, so it's wanting to eat up my machine's used to sewing on thicker fabric. Pull my threads out because for some reason it's wanting to nest underneath here. It's not liking this sewing on this fabric alone. It's just shocking because it's made to okay. So at a 1/4 of an inch, I'm just making sure it's even. I'm holding my threads here because it's, there we go. I wasn't holding my threads and I think it was trying to chew up the fabric. Okay. So there we go, all the top stitching. Or not top stitching, but that's all the gusset piece, or gussets. Can you tell I made a bag with gussets? Oh no, something's wrong with my snips. These snips here. Okay. I'm just trimming off these seam allowance, or not these extra threads that I have on my thing. I'm gonna set this piece back here with all my other pieces, and now we can go on to assembly. So we're gonna be doing the outside piece first, the exterior. So you're gonna grab one of your dart pieces. You're gonna lay it like this. And you're gonna match this seam up with, so you're gonna match this seam here with this seam right here. So I'm gonna make sure that I want to make sure that I just want to make sure that my seams are facing the opposite way to help alleviate some of that bulk. And so now I'm just going to ease it into here. There we go. Using as many clips as you feel comfortable. I'm an over clipper. Okay. And now I'm going to match my top points up here. And I'm going to match my top points up here. So I'm going to match the tops of this side gusset with the top of my fabric. And now I'm going to clip all the way down. I'm just going to do one side panel at a time. That way it doesn't shift, and sometimes the clips get in the way. So I'm going to sew this side up after I'm done clipping, and then I'm going to move on to the other side.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? No, they were just calling me, so I was seeing what was going on. I guess they couldn't figure out how to deliver it. Did you get it? Yeah. Okay. So, there we go. I clipped it. Yeah, so you can snip the gusset if it doesn't fit. It fit fine with me. I didn't have any issues with it like not fitting, so I'm not worrying about that. If for some reason like I was having a hard time and I was seeing puckering, I would definitely do that. Okay. Now we're going to sew the U shape at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I have my stitching at a 3 1/2. And I'm just going to put this here at the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to start sewing. Back stitching. I'm just making my way. Moving clips as I get to them. Making sure that when I adjust, I put my foot down, or my needle down, because I don't want to accidentally pull this out. That would be super sad. So now I'm just going to make sure that my seam is facing this way, because my bottom seams are facing towards my bottom. I want this my dart seam to face away from my bottom panel. And now I'm just going to continue sewing at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. There we go. Okay. It's gonna look, and it looks good on the inside. So now we're gonna repeat to the other side. And if you want, you can just kind of look, make sure you don't get any puckering. It seemed to fit nicely, so that's nice. And do the same exact thing. I'm going to match my seams here, and then match my other seams right here. The clip. I'm gonna match the sides here, and then match my other side. Uh-oh, there goes my pattern. Instructions. Okay, and now I'm just gonna make my way down, clipping. Hopefully I don't need as many clips. I'm gonna try not to use as many clips. Okay. Just easing this gusset in. That's where I'm probably gonna use the most, just so that. And I'm just easing it. I'm pushing it and making sure there's no like warp, like bubbles or anything. So, gonna continue going all the way. Oops, that broke. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So now doing the same exact thing that I did to the other side, we're gonna stitch this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. My stitch length is at a 3.5. Just stitching it, making sure that if I need to adjust that my needle is down. And I'm about to get to where my dart seam allowance is, so I'm just going to kind of hold it a little bit just to make sure that it doesn't move. Okay, perfect. There we go. I'm just letting my purse, or like, I'm trying to sew it as a 3D object. So like I'm just letting it go, not trying to smush it or anything. Just letting it. I'm using vinyl and home decor fabric. Yes, what Brenda said. So now my goal is to try to make this only a 4-hour video, but as most of you know, that's never happens. Okay. Here we go. Now we're on the last bit. Okay, there we go. Now it wants you to trim, I think, trim your seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, so repeat to remaining contrasting side panel and trim the seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to get my scissors and I'm just going to trim to like 1/8 of an inch. So I trimmed that down to 1/8 of an inch. Gonna do the same exact thing to my other side. Making sure you don't accidentally cut your stitching, because that would be sad. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do the same exact thing to the lining, but we're gonna leave a opening. So what I'm gonna do real quickly, I'm going to just real quickly turn this out to make sure it looks good. And I think it's supposed to be like inwards like this. The darts go in. So that is what it's gonna look like once we get it all in. Okay. So I'm just gonna set that aside to the side. And we're going to do the same exact thing to this side. And we're going to sew this at 5/8 of an inch. But we're gonna make sure that we leave an opening on the one side, like a 6-inch opening. And mainly I'm telling myself that because I tend to always close up the holes. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the contrasting piece, the outside piece. I'm gonna match up my seams. Then I'm going to match the tops up. I'm gonna put one, grab my other side, match the top up, and then I can make my way down so that I can making sure that I ease my seams in, using as many clips as I need. Okay, now I'm gonna ease this round part in. Okay. I'm going to clip all the way up here, easing my seams, easing everything in so that it sits nicely. There we go. Perfect. So now that's all done, and I'm gonna go ahead Yes, Dalva. I use Woven Fuse on my home decor fabric. Yes, Penny. It was the home decor fabric is like The home decor fabric's thicker than, it's thicker than home decor fabric. It's thicker than quilting cotton, but it's not as thick as the outside fabric that they have. I definitely interface with SF101. Okay, so we are sewing this at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance here. I have my stitch at a 3.5. Oh, and then my thread got sucked up in there. So I'm just going to try this again. With this lighter fabric, I gotta make sure I hold my stitch, that I hold my okay, we're going at 5/8 of an inch. Making sure that when I adjust, that my needle is down. So I'm just making sure that my foot is down when I adjust. It's a little harder to sew this as a 3D object when you have all that foam because it just sits like that, but with this lining it's not as thick. So I'm just making sure that I don't get any puckering as I sew. And if I do, it's okay. Nobody will see it. It'll be at the bottom in the corner. Just making sure everything is nice and adjusted. Okay. 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 So now I'm just going to cut this off here. See where we're at time-wise. Ooh, 30 minutes. I don't know. Might have to make so for the newbies here that haven't. If I go over 4 hours, or if I get to 4 hours, it will cut off the video. But I'll start a new one within the event. So it'll pop up. You just gotta hop back on, and I won't start until I get about the same amount of numbers that I had before they pop off. Before I got turned off. I was thinking I was gonna do a 4-hour bag, but nope. Okay. So now I'm just gonna clip the sides. I'm doing the same exact thing, 5/8 of an inch. But this one here, we want to make sure we leave a 6-inch gap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to match up my edges here. Match up my edges there, and I'm going to just leave this. It's just gonna look like this because I want to make sure I don't close. I want to make sure that I don't close that up because I will close it up on accident. Okay, so I'm just pushing this in, making sure that everything fits in. I'm easing my seams in. Just want to So I'm going to start on this side here, on the side that I'm not going to leave the opening. So 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to grab my threads so that I don't get them sucked up under. I'm sewing this at 5/8 of an inch, making sure that when I adjust, my needle is down. Oh no. Okay. My thread broke, so I'm just going to re-clip that and re-thread my machine. Okay. So I'm just gonna start back up where I was at. So my thread just broke, which it happens. So I'm just gonna start a couple stitches up, back stitch, and continue on as if nothing happened. Okay, so I'm getting into this curve. I'm making sure that when I adjust, I want to make sure that I'm at 3/8 of an inch. Okay. So I'm getting close to where I want my hole. Oops. Okay. So now I'm going to just gonna start right here, just a little ways down. Close this up because that's gonna be where my 6-inch hole is gonna be. Make sure my threads are out so they don't get sucked up. This should be big enough. Okay, so there we go. That is done. Now, what do we do? I'm gonna clip off all my extra threads here. Get these all off. And then I think we're gonna trim down the seam allowance except for where that hole is at. Yeah, so we're gonna trim down the seam allowance except for where that, oh wait. Trim lining seam allowance down to about 1/8 of an inch, including along the 6-inch opening. Ooh. Oh, sorry, I missed a whole bunch. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, Karen, so what everybody else said, I'm going to birth the bag through, I believe I'm going to birth the bag through this big hole. Then I'm going to pull it and sew it closed through the zipper. Because I don't think the zipper is going to be big enough for me to birth that through. So it says to trim down the seam allowance. I'm not going to because that makes me a little nervous where that opening is at. But I am going to trim the seam allowance down. So you want to trim about 1/8 of an inch. Do the same exact to the other side. I'm not going to do where the seam allowance is at, so I'm just going to V out like I normally do, and V in when I do this side. So, making sure I don't cut my stitching. Okay. Okay, good. I do not like trimming the opening at all, so I'm not going to, just because, I don't know, it'll be really hard to close that seam. I mean, I guess not, but like you can trim it afterwards. Okay. So now we're gonna do the top casing. Set that apart, grab your top casing, which is this side here. So, this is 2 inches wide, I believe. Yeah, this is 2 inches wide, so I'm going to mark a 1 inch marking on this. Where is my, there it is. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same exact thing to this side. 1 inch. That way I know I'm folding it correctly. So fold the 2 short edge of the top casing handle under a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch on the side. Then I'm gonna add 1/4 inch tape. If I knew where I put my tape at. Okay, here. So then I'm going to add a 1/4 inch tape to the end here. Add it to the end on this side. I'm gonna do the same exact thing to this end. And then I can mark that 1 inch also. And mark 1 inch here. Oh no! I completely dropped all my, ugh. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mark this 1 inch from the edge, and I'll show you why. It just makes it easier because you want to fold this a 1/2 inch. So if I mark 1 inch and then I fold it up, it comes out to a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to do what it says. Okay, so actually, what I'm going to do is I need to fuse the vinyl. So I'm just going to put this on my heat press real quick, and I'm going to fuse the stabilizer on about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to do the same thing here. I wonder if I cut this too long. Okay. Just gonna get a Teflon sheet and press this on. So I'm just gonna put this on my good night, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so I'm gonna put my marks down 1 inch because I had to press this on. Okay, so you're gonna fold this over 1 inch. Fold this over 1 inch, or a 1/2 inch, sorry. So you're folding it over a 1/2 inch, but I'm folding it to that 1 inch line, which will get me a 1/2 inch. Okay. There we go. So a 1/2 inch, I put it in on my, and I adhered my Decoville. See where we're at. I want to make sure, okay. So now you're going to pin the long raw edge closed. So I have vinyl, so I'm not going to. And machine base along at 1/4 of an inch. Oops. I'm just gonna cut this down. It kind of went over the edge a little bit. Just gonna cut the, where the Decoville heavy is hanging off, I'm just gonna real quickly cut some of that off. No biggie. It happens. Okay. So now I'm going to just folding this down, matching the raw edges, raw edge to raw edge. I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other side. Matching raw edge to raw edge. So I'm just matching raw edge to raw edge. It's a little bit harder because my Decoville shifted, and so it's hard to turn it. It's wanting to stop it from turning. That's okay. Just gonna make it work. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to pin the long raw edge and then machine baste along the edge about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So I'm going to do a basting stitch of 4, and I'm just going to do 1/4 of an inch all the way down. Okay. Okay, try that again. So 1/4 of an inch all the way down. Don't know where I put my threads. Nice knits at. Pull out my extra pair. I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. Definitely would make sure that you adhere your Decoville or your Peltex or whatever on at the right length, because if you don't, you'll have problems like where I'm at, where it's like not wanting to meet the edge because the Peltex is so, or the Decoville is so heavy or strong that it doesn't want you to fold it over. That's okay. We'll figure it out when we get there. Be a little. Okay. So we got our side casings. Let's see where we're at time-wise. Got about 20 minutes. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna get our exterior piece here, and we're going to baste this or put this on here, the casing. So you're going to want to match. You're going to want to match the seams here, so it'll fit in perfectly. Sorry if you can hear my little one crying. He does not like going to bed, and he'll just cry and cry and cry until he cries himself to sleep. I don't know why he does that. He's not really little. He's my 6-year-old, but that's what he does. Okay. So I'm just trying to adjust this so that it's the wrong side of the bag, exterior out pin or clip top casing to the right side of an exterior panel, matching the long raw edge of the casing with the top raw edge of the main panel. It should be matched up exactly with the 2 side seams of the exterior. And then you're going to machine baste this. Okay, there we go. Now it's lining up. So I'm just okay. Oh wait, hold on. Am I doing this right? With the wrong side of the bag exterior out. So I'm gonna I'm gonna re-push this in because I did turn it out, and I guess I probably. So I'm just gonna re-flip my bag wrong side out because I'm gonna have it like this. Wait. Okay, yeah, that's right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on also on the inside here. I'm just matching this with this edge. And then I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. This one fits in a little bit nicer than enough to work it in. Okay, so this is what we did. We added this, and now we're going to machine baste this at 1/4 of an inch along the edge. So pretty much right where that existing stitches that you stitched the basting stitch to close your raw edges, that's where you're going to do with that. I'm going to actually, this is a little off, so I'm going to fix it. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to line my edges up here and here. And I have my stitch at 4. So 1/4 of an inch, we're going to machine baste this on. I'm just following that stitch that I had already done when I was putting the raw edges together. I'm trying to make sure that I don't get like cut off in the middle. So if I get close to my time limit, I will stop like at a stopping point if I realize. Okay. Then we're gonna cut this off, and you're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. So I'm going to so 1/4 of an inch all the way. Making sure everything still lines up, and if I adjust, I'm making sure that my needle is down. Okay, let's see where we're at time-wise. Okay, we still like 10 minutes. Okay, so now that we did that, we're going to do the lining. So we're gonna add okay, so we did that to the other side. Now, so with the lining wrong side out, so this is this way, and the exterior right side out. So now we're going to turn our exterior in this right sides. We're going to place, we're going to place this inside. So I'm just going to, let's see. Okay, place the exterior inside the lining. Right side's touching. I'm just gonna I'm turning these edges in how I want it to be when I want it to pop out. Okay, so now I'm just going to put this, so I want my back side, I want my zipper to be on the back side, so that's how I'm going to set this in. I'm gonna put my back flap touching my zipper. It's gonna be a tight fit, but that's okay. So yeah, you wanna make sure you tuck the flap down so that you don't accidentally catch it when you're sewing. And you're gonna match the edges. So I'm gonna match the seams first, and then I'm going to continue on with matching the top edges. So first I'm gonna match the seams, and then I'm going to match the, continue on clipping to match the edges. I'm just gonna push that in, clipping, adjusting as I can, pushing it down because it's gonna be a little, it's gonna look wonky, but it all fits. You just gotta kind of push it down because the lining is snugger than the lining is gonna be snugger than the exterior, because you don't want a saggy exterior or like a baggy exterior. You want it to be a nice fit. Hold on. Shift it a little bit. So just continue going, easing the edges. There we go. Just got to keep working it. Just using as many clips as you need. Okay, there we go. And now I'm gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. And then I'm probably, after this, depending on where we're at, I might have to stop and start a new. I might have to stop and start a new video for this, a part 2 of the live. And remember, I'm just gonna shove this down here so that it all fits nicely, because you're gonna sew this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm just wanting to move everything, use as many clips, making sure there's no like riffles or like, what is it, ruffles or puckers or anything. Okay, so it's all clipped, and now we're just going to, let's see where we're at. I think I can do this in a few minutes. And then after I'm done top stitching this, I'm going to stop the video and start a new one. Everybody hop back on to the new one. Okay, so we're going to do this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to start, it doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to start right here on the edge. And I'm going to put my stitch length to a 3.5. And I'm going to stitch all the way around. Making sure everything is all aligned.